And we are live once again with Victor Escalante Live. I have my sidekick, Jose Monterrosa, who is the founder and owner of Imagina Communications, a marketing firm that specializes in the Latino community. Welcome back, Jose.
Thank you for the opportunity again. As usual, it's very I'm very happy to be here.
Jose, tell us a little bit about the topic that we're going to be covering today. We have a
Well,
special guest lined up, and hopefully she will show up.
and she's actually, she just sent me an email, and she's going to
Okay.
be joining us soon. So yeah, it's pretty much having access to capital, right? This is a challenge for a lot of small businesses in Houston, and it's something that we definitely need to consider whenever we have set up a business and we have that vision of growing that business, having those funds that can allow us to grow.
Yeah, let me, if you will indulge me, let me get on my soapbox. This Monday, I attended an event where I heard a fascinating story. And this story is actually going to be coming out in my podcast, Latinos Who Thrive, in 2 weeks. This is the story of a young man from Honduras. He started out with his own capital, $12,000, and opened
Uh-huh.
up a barbershop. Okay.
Okay.
He's now doing about 1.5 million in sales per year, on target to soon do $3 million. I asked him after the event that I attended where I heard his story. I asked him, how much capital did you use starting out? Because he talked about having access to capital to grow a business.
Hmm.
So I'm sorry. So I asked him how much. He said 12,000. And then I asked him, because he made a comment in the discussion, had you known what you know now, how much capital would you have started out with? He says about 45 to 50,000. Okay.
Wow. Okay.
Now, so very common for small business owners and entrepreneurs to underestimate the capital needed to launch their dreams, correct?
I think so, but there's one component to that. I think, based on my experience. I mean,
Okay.
you have to land, you have to prove that your business works, right?
Right. That it's a
Uh,
viable business that
right.
you can sell what the market is wanting.
Exactly. Yeah. So you have to go through different stages, and that stage in which you basically start a business, and then you make it work. You start getting some revenue. Uh, it becomes a profitable business. Then I guess you have the foundation to say, you know, okay, I can grow this much per year, and I have a model that works, so I can go back to the
Okay.
bank or
Let me stop
whoever.
you. Let me
Okay.
stop you because you are talking theory. And yes, I understand theory. I talk theory. I teach theory. But this guy started out a barbershop
Hmm.
with no business plan. Mind you, this gentleman is a former accountant from Ernst and Young. You would think that with that preparation, with that experience, with that gravitas, you would start out in the traditional way, right? You start out with a business plan,
No,
with
well,
some
I'm
sort of
not saying that. Yeah, I'm not saying to start with a business plan necessarily,
okay.
but
Well, what? Sorry, I misunderstood you. So go
yeah,
ahead
but
and make your point.
you may have an idea, but you have to make it work. I mean,
Okay,
that's my point. I mean, you
true,
can be
true.
selling whatever,
Yes,
but it has to work, because
right.
otherwise you have something that you don't have any proof that you can show to someone else
Yes,
and say this is something that is going to work. So we have Sineria now.
yes. We have Sineria. Sineria, welcome to Victor Escalante Live.
She is the expert on access to capital.
Hola, ¿cómo están? How are you guys doing?
We
We're
are
doing
great.
great.
We got
Yeah.
started without you debating
Yeah,
the use of
we're
capital.
we're in a debate right now.
No, please don't. I apologize. My computer went completely blank and I had to reboot. So, apologies.
Jose and I know all about that, don't we, Jose?
Plenty of
Like
it. Yeah.
the
Even
worst time ever.
yes, even in a sophisticated studio, which I'm part owner in, It's like everything that could go wrong has gone wrong a couple of times. So no worry, it's all good.
We're good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Sineria, for joining us.
So let me catch you up, Sineria, because I was telling our viewers and Jose a very fascinating story that I'm going to be bringing out and showcasing in my podcast, Latinos Who Thrive. This Monday, I heard the story of a gentleman from Honduras. Okay, he came. He came to the country as a child, so he was undocumented, or rather, he came with his parent family came with a visa, but they overstayed their visa. So after the overstay, he was undocumented, and he talks about his journey, about going to college and the difficulties of that. But here's what I want to focus in on the story. He started out with $12,000 of capital. And in his speech, he admitted that had he known what he knew now, he would have started with more capital. And so afterwards, I asked him, how much capital do you estimate that 2020 hindsight you needed? He says, oh, I would say about $45 to $50,000. This is to start a barbershop. Okay.
Mhm.
He's on target to do $1.5 million in sales with projected revenues of $3 million. Okay, so how do you go from taking $12,000 to exponentially grow a business like that? There were certain elements in his story that are very predictable for success, and this is what a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs don't understand. But we're here to talk about capital and the need for capital and capital expansion, capital, every form of capital that a small business or entrepreneur needs. So let's start out with the questions that we have prepared for you for
And
this.
and and before that, Victor, can Sineria make like a brief intro?
Yes, go
Yeah.
ahead, Sineria. Tell us about yourself. Take it
Hey,
away.
thank you. Let me know. I see the audio kind of goes in and off. So fully, my name is Sineria Ordonez. Excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation. So my role at Comerica Bank, I am the External Affairs Market Manager, and I am also the National Hispanic Business Development Manager. So it's really important that we provide the intentional work of understanding what financial literacy is for the whole family, but also what that means for the financial well-being of our small businesses. So that's the kind of work that I get to kind of lead here for the bank.
Okay, great. You are the perfect subject matter expert.
Absolutely.
Do you have a question, Jose, to start out with?
No, I mean, let's go. Let's get into it.
Let's get into it. So the first question out of the gate is, what are some insights into the financial resources if my eyes are failing me? Help me out, Jose. It's like my screen is tiny, so I'm not familiar with this setup.
What are
There we
some
go.
insight into the financing sources by a stage of business? That's what you have on the screen.
Yes.
Okay, great. Question for you,
Yes.
Sineria.
Yes, well, great question. Often when we think about small businesses or small business owners, we tend to think about entrepreneurship in general. However, there are different stages that our businesses find themselves in. And one of the point of contentions in listening is understanding what stage they find themselves in. So we break it down into 4 components. One of the work that we do in building the capacity and the knowledge sharing and providing the technical expertise, which is, Comerica's human capital and the experts of the bankers that we have on hand, is understanding that not all businesses are like the example that you shared, Victor, are at the example of that, mass growth, that it takes time, it takes intentional steps. We know that entrepreneurship is a long-term journey, and you have to stay the course because you don't hit it right off the park in the beginning stages. So for us or when I am talking and seeking understanding with our small businesses, the 4 layers that often come is, the initial startup. And so what are the ways that you can access funding when you're just starting up and you don't have business credit? And so often what entrepreneurs find themselves with is seeing that that initial startup is, it's private, your own money that you're kind of coming in with, and or personal with family and friends, so that you can get your business up and running. Again, these are all points of contentions. Even though we work at a bank, our focus is making sure that your growth is in line with the revenue that's coming into the business. The second stage is the early stage, and that too. So startup, we tend to see more on the personal savings. Early stage, we see more family and friends, and crowdfunding capital and peer-to-peer lending platforms are also tend to come in line during that stage. The third stage is the maturity stage. So for that, we're looking at the loan marketplace, online lenders. Here also is a contingent of the angel investors, venture capital firms in that third stage. Now when we talk to the fourth level, which is the established, those are then we start, it's incorporating the community development financial institution, the nonprofit lenders. And then in that level of growth of established, then we start seeing the banks and the credit unions. Again, that level of growth is really important. So if anything, I can summarize it in those four financing sources by stage of businesses. Are you a startup? Are you early stage, maturity of your business? And are you established? Again, we want that growth to be in line with the business, what you can offer that no one else can.
Yeah,
So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, because I'm the practical guy here. Jose is the theorist, and
okay.
I'm with two theorists that you speak in general terms. You speak banking, and Jose speaks marketing. Okay, I
Yeah.
speak common sense.
We'll
So
we'll
so
make
let
sense out of this.
yeah. So let me ask you a question, and let's be very specific. What is the criteria for those benchmarks that you just explained to us? Why don't you go ahead and give us the criteria that your institution, or you as a personal banker, or a community banking liaison, use to be able to quantify and qualify a business, that if they don't qualify at the time for funding, maybe down the road when they meet those benchmarks. So why don't you go ahead and tell us that?
Yes, I think that that's the important conversation, that then you get into one of the bankers to talk with them and make assessment, look at what your business plan is. For us, when we're building capacity knowledge and helping ensure that our businesses have the information to scale and growth, that's really looking at the 5 C's. And that is, the 5 C's are capacity. What can you repay now and in the future? That's the second C, the capital. What personal funds and profits have you invested? The banker is going to look for collateral, the personal and business assets that you can use to repay the bank if you default. The fourth is the character, your history, your following through in life and business. Now, this is also really important, that even your personal credit could come into line to that. And then the fifth C is the conditions. What are the external factors that favor the success of your business? So at any point, again, my type of work is making sure that we're building the partnerships so that the businesses have the information, that if they're not bank ready, that they have that educational component to reach their growth. Now, if they have an immediate need and already in the established form, then that's where, as you say, I'm the liaison. I come in and make sure that I connect them with the experts, with the expertise within Comerica to help them guide that information, but also understanding what their needs are, where they are, and that level of projection of where that growth is. But it's through those 5 C's, the 5 C's of credit, which are crucial.
I want to add something to this, and this usually happens to small businesses, right? Especially those that are basically starting up. Uh, you don't necessarily have all the knowledge to understand, I think, how to access capital. But if you don't put yourself in the hands of an account that can just give you the basics and can help you set up a business plan, then you're limiting yourself. Or you're basically, outliving the experience of running a business by bootstrapping and just finding ways to generate a revenue and become profitable. But this actually goes back to the example that we were talking about, Victor, in the beginning.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to go through that stage in which initially you're using your own money
right.
to prove
I
that,
don't know if you guys saw the story that appeared in Entrepreneur Magazine this morning. It was quoting one of your idols, Mark Cuban, Jose,
okay.
and he was saying that the only way to establish a business is to bootstrap it and use your own capital, because when you turn to outside funding, then you lose a lot of things that you have as a sole financier. Now, obviously, at some point you reach a point that your capital has run out and you are bank ready because you qualify for the benchmarks that Sineria has just told us. But I want to tell you guys a story that I think our listeners will relate to, especially the small business that are not sophisticated. Do you? I know this predates you, Siberia, but Jose, do you remember the brand Jose Jimenez food products?
Not really. No.
No. Okay. All right. Well, I'm dating
Okay.
myself now.
Okay. We go back
But
30 or 40 years.
yeah, I knew Jose Jimenez personally. He was a small uh, uh, he was a small Mexican, for lack of a better term, in San
Okay.
Antonio, and he made great tamales. And so his friends and family told him, your tamales are so delicious that you ought to start a business selling tamales. So one year he decided that he was going to go big. He was really going to lean in and go big. So he went to the bank and he was going to take out a $200 loan. Okay. So the banker asked him, well, do you have a balance sheet? So of course he got the deer in the headlights look, because
Mhm.
which small business owner understands a balance sheet? If you've never been in business and you have this dream and naivete that somehow the bank is just going to loan you the money because you asked for it. So of course he had to turn to business and friends, and the rest is history, because he built a multi-million dollar company selling tamales, creating Mexican food products, tamales, tortillas, tostadas, and you name it. He eventually sold the company for many millions of dollars to a big conglomerate. But again, the point that I want to make is, how educated are you in growing a business using the tools and the protocols for capital financing?
Yes, exactly, Victor. And I think it goes to, I think, two of the points that I hear that we provide in the level of significance in understanding and help and support for our businesses. So one of them, I think, Jose, you mentioned, well, the cash flow, the positive cash flow.
Right.
It's really important, but you also need to understand, the financing aspect of it. Do you understand what's coming in? Do you know your profit and loss? Do you know the balance sheet? Do you know that maybe a bookkeeper is not the same thing as a CPA? Those are two different functions, and I think that that's really where the work is in helping understand, or helping our business understand all of the things that you might need for that moment, when, or for to get you set up to be bank ready. And it's not, for us, is not that it's, truly what we believe is that when our businesses thrive, our communities thrive. And so for that, that work and that partnership that we do with others who provide the educational forum for our businesses is the level of capacity. So that there's a lot more behind. We haven't even gotten to even the legal terminology. Do they understand the legal terminology? Do they understand reviewing contracts? But also with those bigger contracts, what that means for risk and risk mitigation. Again, the level of maturity of how that grows. But the second thing, Victor, that you've mentioned, it's that you want to build a relationship with a banker before you need one.
Correct.
And
It's
we
been
can't
said that
emphasize.
when
Yes.
when you start a business, you need 3 specialties: lawyer, accountant or CPA, and a banker. Without
Yes.
those 3, the road forward is going to be very difficult because, again, you're going to make numerous mistakes that can be very costly. So, because I worked in the legal field, among other things, I speak legalese, and I want to ask you this, Silveria. Um, at what point do you, in working to qualify a small business, do you advise a small business owner or entrepreneur to secure a law firm, because maybe the risk will affect the lending capability or qualification?
So let me try to understand your question. Is your question, when should they bring on a legal expert on their team?
Yes, according
Okay.
to you, according to your expertise, at what point do they need to secure a law firm that is going to be their law firm of record?
I would even encourage that if you can, if possible, even in the beginning stages, as you build the structure of your business. Why? Because you want to understand, is your business an LLC? Is it an S corp? All of the legal entities of your business, and you want to make sure that you understand that and that you talk to an attorney about what those options are. Again, in building out your business, you're building out a big vision. You're building out of
Okay,
what you aspire, your service, your good to be. And so aligning that with what is that business structure. And then now, granted, if one advice I give entrepreneurs is that as we become generalists and we learn to do everything to keep the business going, that it's important that we tap into the nonprofits that work with entrepreneurs, so that you can get some of that feedback, so that you can get some of those experts to ask those questions. We don't know what we don't know, but what I
correct.
can guarantee you is that defining that structure, I think, even as then some come to me and they're like, well, I knew what structure I wanted, but I really didn't think I needed an attorney until I got this one contract with the county.
Mhm.
And those are a lot of integers right into building or understanding what that contract is and what you're liable for. And so I would say you never have to feel alone. You have to build yourself with that level of support. I think you've also shared it. There's 3 key people that you want, but more than anything, that that there are other ways to support your endeavor through the entities, all in favor, so that you grow and you understand as you're building your business, because it's often very hard. We're doing the business, we're about it, we're so much into the work that sometimes it's important that we come back out and say, okay, further, instead of the just my day-to-day. Does that help?
You're giving us so much gold that I'm having difficulty grab all the pieces. So let me back up. Let me back up. Jose, she brought out a very, very important gold nugget, is turning to nonprofit agencies that a small entrepreneur or small businesses can turn to for advice, incubation, or assistance. So who are some of those that you know of?
Well, the small
Yes. So
business. Go ahead. Sorry.
You go, Jose, and then I'll come back
Well,
around.
I used in the past that small business, I even forgot the name because it's been a while, but the
It's
University
SCORE.
of Youth, the SCORE is
Oh,
one, is
yeah,
another one.
with
Yeah,
small business.
yeah. It's,
The colleges and universities, actually, I think it's only universities. They offer a program, and I also forget the name of it, but I've worked with them, and it's nonprofit. They give classes, and I think they even meet with you in person to be able to coach you and give you advice on what resources are out there or what specialized knowledge that can help you with to be able to grow your business.
and you mentioned a SCORE. That is
Yes.
a very good one.
Yes.
I have used them many times, and man, I mean, you get access to
Yeah.
folks that have an extreme amount of experience.
For those
So
entrepreneurs that don't know what SCORE does, is basically if you were to have a corporate board full of experienced experts, uh, these are free experts that they are retired or they are subject matter experts and they volunteer with SCORE to be able to provide their expert knowledge to any small business owner that wants to access that. I once used SCORE to buy a business, and when I showed them the balance sheets, the SCORE advisor or counselor told me, "Do not touch this business with a 10-foot pole because you're going to work longer hours and you're going to make less money than what you're currently making." This was a company that I worked for as a district sales manager. So again, it sounded good in theory, but when you talk to an expert, they really give you advice. And these people are fiduciaries, which means that they have nothing in it. It's like they are not invested in whatever course you decide to pursue. And so of course they're going to give you expert knowledge that is free and totally objective.
and they can actually become
Yes.
part of their advisory board, by the way.
Okay.
Yep.
Anybody else, Jose?
Those are the ones that I have used in the past, but I'm pretty sure there's got to be more than that out
Time
there.
is getting away from us. Let's roll here. What is credit worthiness, and what do lenders want to know, Silveria?
Yes. Well, before we get into that, can I just tap into some of the resources for the business, because I think that this is
That
really
your organization
crucial.
holds?
No, I mean just in general, good information for them to know what other options. SCORE is
We
definitely
are
on the
we
list.
are 3 minutes away, which means that
Oh,
from ending. So which means that you
okay.
have to come back. You have to come back
I
Yeah, she has
because
to
do.
come back. Yeah.
Then let
because
me
you
then
you're a gold mine, and
then let
we
me
have
go ahead
barely
and share
touched. Go
these
ahead.
two. Sorry, let me just
Go for
share
it.
then these two things, because I think they, like you say, these are golden. SBA financing is also an option. So it helps borrowers qualify for good interest and low financial plans. It enables borrowers to obtain loans to up to 5 million, but it also includes includes mentorship from SBA. And the other type of funding, which we also work with closely, are the community development financial institutions, and they're known as CDFIs. So those are nonprofit funding organizations that provide also business mentoring, finances, technical assistance at the community level. And then this is for borrowers who may not qualify for the traditional loans. And again, it's the specialty programs in businesses and other nonprofits in the areas that are actually doing the entrepreneurship work as well at no cost. I highly encourage our businesses tap into the experts that are willing to share this information for the right reasons, and that will allow you that growth that you're looking for.
Okay. Are those agencies are they county, are they city, or are they federal?
So the SBA is federal, and then there are different loan products, and
Oh, gotcha.
they're
Gotcha.
best to talk. So they have the basic 7A, the 504 plan, the SBA, and veteran programming. The banks and experts can also help you in what some of those SBA options are. The community development financial institutions; those are nonprofit fundings.
Okay.
So an example of that are People Fund, Lift Fund, True Fund. And again, their focus is, the component of the mentorship and the financing. And there's many of us that we are just coming together, ensuring that that level of support is there for our small businesses, because we know that they are the backbone of our country. And so we want to see them succeed.
Okay, Jose?
No, I mean, I think that is pretty clear at this point that, just like Sineria mentioned in the beginning, businesses go through stages. And the example that you show in the beginning, I mean, who knows how he entered the business, right? I mean, he could have bought the business from someone else. And
I'll
maybe
tell you.
that,
I'll tell you another interesting bit about
okay,
this.
all
He
right.
lived in Chicago,
Uh-huh.
and every day or that he could, since age 11, he would go visit a barbershop to hang out. Okay,
Okay.
a barbershop, because he fell in love with being a barber and
That's
everything that barbers do. So, just like Steven Spielberg, at age 10, he started touring studios in Hollywood. This guy went to study how a successful barbershop is run. So that's one of those benchmarks that our guest Sineria was talking
right.
about how much expertise you have in the business and how invested you are in the business. That's a compelling story. So, this is the whole package that we're talking about, that a banker needs to understand about your business in order to be creditworthy. Now, what were you going to say?
No, so I'm thinking that maybe for next time we need to invite your friend, your contact, the barber, and we need
Absolutely,
to have
absolutely,
Sineria here, so,
absolutely.
so we can approach this deeply. But that experience in Chicago, to me, that will be almost like the starting point. You know?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Because and I'll tell you another point is he understood community building,
Hmm.
because that's what people in Chicago apparently do is they go to barbershops, they hang out, and to talk politics, to talk all the chisme in the neighborhood. It's like
Yeah.
whatever they do, he understood community, and he replicated that here in Houston by building a community built around his barbershop.
So that knowledge, you either build it yourself, you learn it yourself, you buy it from someone
Yeah.
else, or I
Intellectual
don't know. I
capital.
mean,
Yeah.
yeah,
Intellectual
yeah,
capital that he learned firsthand.
absolutely. Okay, are we good?
We're good. So
Perfect. We
I'm
need to ask
actually good
Sineria back.
to continue, or we can end this here and have Sineria come back. You you
Let,
tell me.
let's do it again. I think there's
Okay,
many
we'll do
other
it
things that
again.
we need to touch on. Yeah.
Sineria, you're a rock star and a gold mine. So we plan to have you back next week if you can, and I will
Oh,
make it a point to invite this gentleman, which has a fascinating story, because you will hear firsthand from a real live flesh and blood person that exists. That we're not just talking theory.
yes. I can't wait.
All right, guys. Well, that's all for today. And we will see you next week on Victor Escalante Live at 11 o'clock, as always. So long,
Thank
everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
thank you. Bye.
Bye.